Hey, welcome back to the OpenShift TV Coffee Break. After our summer break, we are back here live on OpenShift TV every Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. set time here in EMEA. Today, I'm very happy to have our special guest in the show for the Red Hat Hackfest office hour. There is our permanent DJs, so like Andrea and Mattia. Andrea, Mattia, how are you?
Hey, hi everyone. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Mattia, Andrea, do you want to present our guest today for the Hackfest?
Yeah, sure. I can introduce Chris, maybe Andrea can introduce the other guest. Chris is a colleague of mine, an esteemed colleague of mine. Is from the Alps region. He's the best principal solution architect that you can find around the world. And so we are really working together to enable the customer. And today we're going to show one of the approaches that we're using at the customer to enablement and to use their power of the OpenShift platform in a nice way.
Chris, such great introduction. I mean, do you want to say something?
I don't know what to say anymore.
It's crying
tears in my eyes.
Great. And Andrea, do you have some words like those for Michele?
First of all, Natale, thanks a lot. It's our fourth session today, and I wanted to invite Michele because Michele is one of the esteemed members of the global team that covers the validated patterns for Edge. And this is a fantastic opportunity to start our collaboration. So whatever the Hackfest team produces is validated and then promoted at the global level through Michele's team. So Michele, if you'd like to say a few words about you, the stage is yours.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm Michele. I live in northern Italy, and I've been in engineering now for 7 years and at Red Hat for 11. And yeah, these days I've been working on these validated patterns, and we'll talk about that, I think, in a little bit. Thanks.
Great, thank you for the introduction. As Andrea was saying, this is the fourth Red Hat Hackfest office hour. Andrea, but it's worth because maybe people come back from holidays or maybe people just joined from Twitch or YouTube. It's worth to remind people what is the Red Hat Hackfest office hour. And I want to say to all the people, if you have any question about the topic we'll talk today, and it's all about OpenShift, Edge computing, open source and streaming, please send question to the chat. I'm putting. Feel free to ask the question. We will bring the question to the audience. Let's make it interactive. But Andrea, what is the Red Hat Hackfest office hour?
Thanks, Natale. So the Red Hat Hackfest office hour is a kind offering from our friends of the OpenShift Coffee Break, hosted by OpenShift TV. To spread news around what the Hackfest technical team, so Red Hat Hackfest technical team, and the community are working on. So the Red Hat Hackfest is an event, that as an event. Behind the Red Hat Hackfest event, we have an extended technical community contributed by people from within the company, people from our technology sponsors, and I can mention Intel, IBM, Amazon, and Microsoft. And we have also lots of people from the partner ecosystem and from outside the Red Hat, ecosystem domain. So we tend to promote emerging technologies and adopt them when we build our prototypes. So we don't build demo. We tend to build POCs. You can call them also MVPs, but they are generally speaking prototypes that are reusable across different edge computing verticals or use cases.
Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, Andrea, for the quick introduction, the context for the people that might join, later in this Hackfest. Mattia, what is the topic of today?
It's our turn right now.
So we have an agenda. No, sorry, Mattia. Let me jump on it.
I think we have our first introduction from Andrea, then we are and then.
So we wanted to. We have 3 topics as usual for this for the Hackfest office hour session. A quick overview of what we are doing, and actually we usually run a call to action for all the people who could be interested in collaborating or contributing to our work. Then Mattia and Chris will talk to us about the Lightning Talks, and will give us an overview of what they are and how to use them. And then we'll have Michele giving us an technical overview of what the validated patterns are and what's the value of collaborating with them or using them, adopting them for a customer project, for example. The call to action for today is quite interesting. In collaboration with Microsoft, potentially, and Intel and other technology vendors, we are thinking of an FSI edge related business case. So we are starting the implementation of a potential FSI prototype that could financial services prototype that could be used in several business cases. So that's going to include, as usual, all the edge related portfolio from Red Hat, but also cloud, but also hardware with medium and small footprint. So we will, as usual, we will adopt RHEL for Edge, but also we are discussing the adoption of Microshift. We will work on single node OpenShift and several technologies that stay on top of our extended platform. An additional discussion we are having today in the community, and by the way, thanks to the links Natalia shared with you, you can go in the QAT project website, which is actually the community version of our Red Hat Hackfest event. You can connect to and join for free our Slack channel, and also join our weekly meetings, community meetings that happen every Thursday, 4 p.m. Central European Summer Time. So another potential adoption is related to the edge management software as a service from Red Hat, which is something a lot of customers and partners they are asking for. And with the edge management that we'll probably discuss in the next session, we have a great software as a service tool to manage patches and updates on our remote Red for Edge instances. So that's something that is really interesting. That is a no-brainer for each and every technical DevOps, DevSecOps, or manager who's keen to understand the technology and adopt that. So I kindly encourage all of you to join our community meetings. So that was my 5 minutes call to action. So next talk, Mattia and Chris, if you'd like to enlighten us about the Lightning Talks,
yes,
feel free to start.
Chris, shall I share the slide or you should?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Perfect. So as Andrea mentioned, we are going to have or talk about more a soft topic today and not really a deep technical topic. So we are going to talk about why Lightning Talks can be a really good enablement format and how we have used them in a very concrete scenario with an organization we have been working with. So approximately 2 years ago, next slide, Mattia. Approximately 2 years ago, when working with a really large organization, we faced a pretty typical situation. OpenShift as a container platform has been established, so has been in place. The first set of applications has been onboarded onto the platform, running in production. And then the organization decided they want to leverage and utilize the benefits of containers and Kubernetes for a far broader set of their applications. So we are talking about an organization with hundreds of applications, with thousands of software developers, with a certain complexity associated. So it's a global organization, globally distributed. People are sitting in different geos, different time zones, talking different languages, and as well a very heterogeneous set of technologies used within the company. So it's from really legacy to top-notch modern cloud-native applications. You would find everything. You would almost find each and every technology stack and programming language in that company too. And so we were discussing about how to enable people and especially developers in that organization to get started with containers, with Kubernetes, even if people are coming from a completely different background. And we have been discussing different formats and things we could do next to the usual trainings, and we chose to do a series of lightning talks. And we basically wanted to achieve a certain set of objectives with these lightning talks. So in the end, it should be a series of enablement for the people, so technical enablement on technical topics and educate them, and also generate awareness about the new topics, the new technologies which are coming into the organization and how to make best use of them. Then certainly it's also about sharing good practices and experience, because you can always do an out-of-the-box training, but in order to really use it within your organization, there is always boundaries and specifics, and we wanted to share really good practices of things which have worked within the organization, how other people within the organization have solved certain issues, and with that also foster and drive collaboration within the organization. Because oftentimes you see in these big organizations, a lot of different teams are solving the same issue in slightly different ways, and it's usually just a matter of knowing about each other, a matter of communication. So if we can solve that issue and improve collaboration between people and teams, you can potentially save a lot of efforts spent on solving similar issues and get to better solutions because people are collaborating on solving issues. Besides that, we were also trying to gather feedback from the field, from the people, in order, what do they need, where do they stand, what information they need, what are the problems they have. So really feedback from the developers and the application teams on what they are interested in. And with that feedback, we consolidated that and fed it back to the OpenShift platform team. So the team which is engineering and operating the OpenShift environment. But like this, we could really influence the roadmap of the features which were delivered on platform level, depending on the needs of the actual customers. So it's not just an enablement thing, but also trying to introduce a feedback loop between consumers and producers of such new technologies and platforms. And in the end, we wanted as well, it's with large organizations, pretty much always the same. So sometimes it's hard to get started with new stuff. There is a lot of boundaries, and we wanted to prove it can really be easy to get started, and it can also be quick to get started with new stuff. So we were thinking about how to establish that best, and we came up, it looks a bit overcomplicated and formal, but actually it was just a little bit a mental model for us on how we want to shape the process to get these lightning talks initiated and established within the organization. So we formed a small kind of steering committee consisting of people from Red Hat as well as from the organization we were working with. And these were basically the gremium which was overseeing the topics which we were presenting and as well the content. So we had basically ways how people could formulate requests or propose topics we should take up in the lightning talks, and then we were discussing them, selecting based on number of requests, we were selecting topics and then preparing the respective session. Always from Red Hat side, so we were always providing parts of the session, but always contextualized into the specifics of that organization. Because out of the box, sometimes it just doesn't work in each and every organization, right? Therefore, we always made sure we have it working and in the associated context of the organization. And then basically it was up to the organization to internally communicate about these sessions and lightning talks, so to promote them and make sure we have the right audience on the sessions. And then we also made these things available in internal learning centers, so as replays and everything, so that people also who are joining the party later, they can still make use of all the materials we produced throughout these lightning talk sessions. The concrete format of such a session, how we shaped it, I think, Mattia, can you take us through that?
Yes, thanks, Chris. So the format, I think it was the key of this lightning talk. We devised in 3 parts. The first part was about the introduction of the session, and an overview of what we're going to show and how technically you could achieve it, right? With for instance, talking about design pattern, how you architecture, how you can solve that problem. And the second part is really showing the demo about how you can implement such a pattern or architecture or integration with a specific ecosystem of the customer in the current platform. So a real life scenario on the platform, not a generic outside the demo on a public cloud provider, for instance. I think this 20 minutes was crucial for developers to understand how to work with the platform in the customer side. And because this is a kind of repeatable process for them, and they can learn by themselves, because not everyone can attend on live this lightning talk. So it's really useful for them to repeat the demo by themselves and try out, experiment by their own time. Last but not least, of course, Q&A, where you ask questions, where they ask questions about this solution that we propose or architecture that we propose. And then the last piece of this 10 minutes Q&A is about survey, because we want to gather feedback about how was the talk and how we can improve further around this lightning talk series. So just to give you an example of which topic we present on the customer, as you see, as a first topic is about really basic functionality, because you are starting with this platform, so you want to start from the basic, because if you understand the basic, then it will be easier on the further talks to understand that technology, how you can work with the technology itself. So basic introduction with container, Kubernetes, 12-factor, then go deep dive with Java, containers. Reason why it was to start with Java, because for instance, for the customer side, most of the applications were in Java, but this was not strictly related to Java application. How to do end-to-end the demo with build and deploying, touching the component across this flow, like container registries, how you, the pipelines, which type of pipeline you can use, and then of course how you can deploy, going even further on the platform. You start with just apply manifest with a simple manifest that you want to really scale with Helm, like to create a real package for Kubernetes. And then we go even further with this complex topic, like how we can start moving from a legacy application based on monolithic approach to microservices. What's the approach? What tool you can use to migrate, right? And then you are in the platform itself. And then how you make sure your application is held in production, how you can protect from disaster recovery, and then even further talking about difficult topic like distributed transaction, because now you are not anymore on a monolithic, you have several thousand services talking each other, how you can, which pattern you can use to have a distributed transaction from microservice. And of course, you have several thousand services, and then you want to have zero trust between these services. So you introduce a certificate management on top of the platform. So how you can achieve that, right? So you prepare this lightning talk to enable the developer about several topics from basic to advanced, and then you prepare example where they can start working on and make it productive. And just talking about numbers, people attended this session were around 150 in average, and as well offline there were even more. So it's very nice to see how this grow on the viewing and see how help people to use the platform and work in a better way. Yeah, so the storyline, you start from the scratch and then you increasingly you leverage the platform and the talks and help them to integrate this platform to the existing ecosystem of the customer, because the ecosystem of the customer can be wide broad. It can have its own monitor solution, its own login solution, or the how to expose an application outside the platform with their own load balancer solution as well from their PKI infrastructure, what PKI infrastructure they use, how they can integrate, how they can manage secrets. So it's quite broad. If you go to the customer side, it's not just about install the platform, it's about how you integrate the platform itself. So some consideration during that, during the lightning talk, is a process that you learn on when you start, you learn as well. It's based on the feedback. So the flow always has to do from basic to advanced. It's better to have a specific session for a specific topic, and as well the audience must be important, because you need to identify which audience will be attend the meeting, because if you go too deep dive, but the session is attended by management or people that are not really working day by day on the code, so maybe it doesn't make any sense. And of course, if you do such a series, you need to promote, because if you do this series and you don't promote, the audience will be low, and then this will not work. I think this the most important things is about showcase functionalities that are currently available on the platform itself. Because if you prepare a demo, you prepare the lightning talk, and then the developer or the application owner cannot use it, it's kind of useless, because yes, it's cool, really fancy, I love it, but then what can I do with it, right? And of course, the one important topic you want to provide on when you work in a microservice or on a container platform, you want to provide a simple way how to transform your application and keep it always up to date. So you want to show migration process, how you can implement as well new green application with third-party provider, and so on and so forth. And of course, as well, customer has his own way of training, so it's always better to kind of not clash each other, but working together to provide the same way of enablement and for the applications. Yep, I guess it's about the lightning talk. If you have a question, feel free. I don't know, Andrea, Natale.
First question: who is making this noise? I'm gonna just curiosity.
Construction worker here.
Yeah. Hardware.
Hardware. Always start when I'm talking.
No, we don't have yet question from the chat. If you have any question from what Chris and Andreas and Matthias said, please send in the chat. No, it looks to me very interesting. I'm interested in the modernization part. You mentioned the Java modernization. So for that part, are you using any framework, any tool, or is just following the patterns?
Well, we are leveraging the tool from Covelio Tackle.
Okay.
But this to create an assessment of the application on where they are, right? So to define if it's the status, if it's ready to be containerized or not, if it follow, for instance, the right pattern already, or is completely unknown status. And based on this, we can identify how difficult or how takes to transform this application to move on the platform itself.
And then we were also certainly talking about patterns itself, to get from a monolith to microservices. So how to strangle a monolith, what approaches you have there. So all these conceptual things are equally important, of course.
That's great to hear. And just that was my my question about. But it's cool that you mentioned you are using both of course the pattern, but also the tool. I'm looking for the link to the website. Matthew, you mentioned the project. What is Teco? The conveyor one.
Yes, let me get you the link so I can.
Yeah, if you can please share the link in the chat, I can send it in the public chat. So it's good as a as a reference for people having the same kind of issue. And yeah, thank you. And I like also the Lightning Talks format, Chris. We've been together in some of those. I think they are very effective, successful, and I'm happy to see the same approach also here. This is my opinion, of course, but I think it's a very good format for managing some of these topics. Yeah, those are the questions that I had. I don't know what we have in the flow now. Do we? I don't know if Michele, you want to add something on that, or do you want to add any? Do you have any presentation or some?
I have a presentation. Yeah, let me share it. All right, then I'll get started. So I'll talk a bit about validated patterns and what they are, why they can be useful. So from a very high level point of view, validated patterns are really the next level of reference architectures in a way. So we have a proven design that's been implemented already somewhere, some customer site. We take that and we make it into a pattern by making sure it's fully deployed via GitOps. So we try to be as declarative as possible in the whole pattern. We do have some ways to run imperative bits with Ansible mainly, but the key here is really the whole GitOps approach. The other benefits of using a validated pattern is that we maintain it, which means that we constantly run CI over it. And so we test it across OpenShift versions, operator versions, and so on. And whenever something breaks, we start to investigate. At this point in time, we're mainly doing CI over release stuff. So when there's a new OpenShift, we test it with that version. A new operator version that's officially released, we test it with those versions. And the bonus is that we do the testing as a whole. So all the operators, all the OCP versions are tested as a whole unit. with the whole pattern. Our next step there is we're striving to do CI on unreleased stuff as well. So next version of an upcoming operator, we want to test it beforehand so we can call out any issues before it gets released. Given that it's a GitOps implemented pattern, it's highly reproducible. I forgot to mention that we test this across multiple clouds. So different cloud vendors, we test it to make sure that it keeps working no matter what the cloud you're using. The other benefits is it's open for collaboration. So we have a GitHub page and upstream web page where the patterns are documented, where we have some ongoing collaborations with external people, and everyone's more than welcome to chime in and help out or provide feedback in general. It's also a benefit because it's a lot faster to go to production, because you start from a pattern that you start a POC with a pattern, and you are already a long way ahead than if you had to start from scratch and re-implement a bunch of designs or architectures or way to communicate across different components. So yeah, too long didn't read. They're a natural progression from the somewhat older, not older, but a bit different reference architectures. We build on top of them. For the most part, we're focused on GitOps, and we really only do stuff that exists out in the real world. We avoid anything that's just on paper, that's just a good idea on paper. We always require that it's implemented somewhere. Yeah, the other benefits are it's possible to show customers and folks to what is possible. It's the way we can see validate patterns is that there are a bunch of Lego bricks and you can build things. We just give you a way to make things a bit simpler, to start off, to be faster, to play with stuff and try things out. The feedback that we get back from people, from customers, then flows back to the pattern, and we improve on it and change it over time to make it better. As said, we test it in CI, so we get on a daily basis, we see what breaks and what doesn't. And we provide any feedback that we get back to the units that are to the teams that are in charge of the different components, be it an operator, be it OpenShift or RHEL or whatnot. This is one way to get to a validated pattern is to start from an architecture, a reference architecture that is in our portfolio, and we take it, we make it into a validated pattern. So we make sure that it follows the GitOps deployment model. We make sure that it's in CI, that it gets tested, and then we provide some feedback to the architects that helped build this architecture, and we sort of work on this loop, this feedback loop, to improve on the pattern over time. And as I mentioned before, we put it under CI, so it gets constantly tested, and we try to get it into the RHPDS system, so it's very simple to spin up a demo based on that pattern. And anyone can really try it with a couple of clicks. After, at the end of this presentation, I'll do a super quick demo just to show how you would go about deploying one of the patterns.
Michele, may I ask you a question, please? Sure. As we are talking about life cycle, and you mentioned architecture here, I would love to underline to our audience that reference architectures, they of course are based on our platform, but they use different products from our portfolio and third parties, like we are doing together with the Red Hat Hackfest POCs. But what about maintaining these validated patterns? Now, an example that jumped into my mind, and that's the reason actually why I'm asking this question. Mm-hmm. We worked 1 year ago on a manufacturing use case that has been formalized in a white paper that is under validation thanks to you and your team. But we started working on that with OpenShift, and Mattia, correct me if I'm wrong, that was OpenShift 4.8 or 4.9, which means we had to use specific operator versions. We had to use specific functionalities from the OpenShift platform. What if I would like to have an updated version of that once it's been adopted by the validated pattern? Is that something you guys work on, or is that a contribution from externals you are expecting?
So what we do is we try it with the newer versions, say 4.11 that just came out, which changed a few things with tokens and service accounts. And so things did break. A couple of things did break. And what happens is it depends a bit on how much change is necessary. If it's a simple fix here and there in a couple of Helm templates, then we take care of it and make sure that it keeps working across all the supported OCP versions. Now, if something else breaks or changes in an operator or in some component that requires a bigger change, it hasn't happened yet, but I would expect that we would have to sit down with the people that architected, that worked on the architecture, and have a chat and see, okay, this is the issue. We have these ways to solve the problem. How do we go about it? And so on. So far, we were lucky. Of course, now I jinxed it, and next OCP version will bring in more fun. But yeah, for the most part, for the small, I would say I would recap it as the small bits will take care of the minor nits to just get it working. But if it's an architectural change that's needed for whatever reason, then we'd have to sit down and have a longer discussion as to how to go about it.
Thank you, Michele.
Happy to answer any questions. Feel free to interrupt me anytime. No problem. So far, we have 3 validated patterns. We have a bunch of community patterns that are in our upstream repos, which I will share at the end. Those might progress to the status of validated patterns once they fit certain requirements. So far, we have Industrial Edge, which is a distributed architecture. Maybe it's the one you were mentioning before, Andrea, that does monitoring of production line. It's distributed across clusters, has a certain AI model to detect anomalies and report back. It has some visualizations, and it's all run in GitOps. Medical diagnosis is another pattern that uploads images that get scanned through an AI ML model. They look for certain patterns to help doctors to guide diagnosis, to detect certain anomalies or things like that. And it's based on uploading a number of images to the cloud, which will then work on it, do the analysis, the scanning, and report back. And then we have multi-cloud GitOps, which is a pattern that showcases a few things. I'll talk a bit more about this today, and I'll show how to deploy it. It's basically how to do a GitOps, how to run GitOps across multiple clusters or multiple clouds. All right. So I'll go a bit more in depth about this multi-cloud GitOps pattern. The components that make up this pattern are Vault, HashiCorp Vault in the hub. We have one hub cluster and multiple regional clusters, satellite clusters. In the hub cluster, we have HashiCorp Vault that acts as a storage for secrets. We configure it on the hub in the pattern, and we load the secrets into the vault out of band. I'll show you a bit how it's done. We do it with Ansible. It can be done in a number of ways, but we do it out of band because we want to make sure no secrets end up in Git, which is a large problem these days. We use the external secrets operator, which basically talks to Vault, and for certain reads Vault and creates Kubernetes secrets on the hub. The reason we chose the external secrets operator is to be a little bit independent with the secret storage. So whichever secret storage external secrets operator supports, we can support fairly easily with little work. So the external secrets reads Vault. The external secrets operator reads Vault. It generates Kubernetes secrets inside the hub, and then ACM will take this secret on the hub and push it across the regional clusters, which can then make use of it. We do require here ACM 2.5 because of the way secrets are pushed around is secure. It's a feature that only showed up in 2.5. This is very roughly the high-level diagram of how this pattern is put together. So on the left, you have the hub. The installation happens with a command, or you can also use an operator that we wrote to deploy a pattern in a simpler way. But the simple approach, which I will show, is to run make install from your laptop or your machine. This will talk to the hub cluster, make sure that GitOps operator is installed, and point it to your Git repo of your pattern, of your fork. This will then trigger everything else. So it will manage to install ACM, It will run the vault. It will set up the external secrets operator, which talks to the vault. And then the automated installation, the make install you ran, waits for the vault namespace. Once that is set up and everything is working correctly, it will start loading the secrets into the vault out of band. Then, as soon as you're ready to join clusters, you use ACM to import your remote cluster. And as soon as that happens and it has the correct labels on it, ACM will make sure that OpenShift GitOps is installed on the regional cluster. And at that point, Argo and GitOps will take care of deploying all the applications that you assign that regional cluster to. And ACM will also copy the secrets that you want on the remote namespace of the regional cluster. The repository structure of a pattern is described a little bit here. You have a common folder where we have a bunch of Helm charts and a couple of scripts where that are common across all of our patterns. Then all the charts folder, you have all the Helm charts that you're going to use in your different clusters. And I'll show you later in the values files, you have a values global, which gets applied to all clusters, be it the hub or regional clusters. And then you have the other values file, one for the hub, one for the regional clusters, and you can split up the imported clusters in multiple regions. Here we just did region 1, just a single region, and every values file will have the list of the applications that need to be installed. And the make file is the entry point. Make install is the command that is used to deploy it, such a pattern. So just to recap, on the hub, we have GitOps, ACM, and the vault, and external secret operator. Here in this setup, I have the same config demo application, which is just a banal web server that will show you the secret that you loaded in the vault. And it runs both on the hub and on the regional cluster with the same code. And the regional cluster, you import it into ACM, and it basically just has the GitOps instances that make sure that the applications for that cluster are installed. All right. Now I'll quickly go through a demo. Let's see if the demo gods are on my side. So I cloned. Can you see? Is it big enough? Should I make it bigger?
Yes, thanks.
I made a fork of the patterns repo that is in our hybrid cloud patterns GitHub org, and I pushed it into my private GitHub. So that's the origin. There are really two things to do. Make sure that you have a valid kubeconfig file, and then you really just want to do. There is a template here for the secrets. You take this and you copy it in your home directory. We don't want to deal with files in Git that contain secrets for obvious reasons. So you copy this, you edit it, choose the secret that you want for this app, and just save the file. I'll show you maybe the files. So this is the file that defines what runs on the hub cluster, and you list the namespaces, the subscription where you can define the versions that you want. These are the Argo projects, and here are the applications that are installed. So this is what installs and configures ACM. This is what installs and configures Vault. This is the external secret operator, and this is the config demo app. We have an imperative section that you can use to run jobs. They're run with a specific interval of 10 minutes by default, which can be changed. And they're just Ansibles that get run in a container inside the cluster, and you can do whatever you want with it. So once you've copied the secrets template, edited it, it's really just make install away, and a couple of checks will be ran, making sure that your Git repo exists with the branch that you're on. And then it just starts installing the entry point and take care of everything else. This now is a bit of Ansible that waits for the Vault to be installed and configured. While this runs, I prepared another cluster where I can show you what's going on. So the little silly demo app is called config demo, and it has a single route. It's just a web server that shows the secret once you click on it. This is test 1, 2, 3 and not demo because I deployed it earlier. And you have the Vault. The secret is in the Vault. And if you go on the hub, it's config demo. And this is the secret that I configured before. And it's test 1, 2, 3. If you change the secret, it will obviously be reflected. It will be reflected on the hub and on the regional cluster later on. It's I think the sync is every few minutes. And yeah, and all the applications are managed via Argo. Just taking some time. There it is. So here you have you can see which apps are being configured for the hub, and in what state they are. Same thing goes for the regional cluster, the one that was imported before via ACM. It has the config demo up, and if we open it, it will tell us that this is MCG1 as opposed to hub, and it has the same secret that was synced over with ACM. And this one here also has an Argo instance, which will only have the config demo up because the regional cluster in this case has a lot less stuff. We log in. And here's the single config demo app that runs on the regional cluster. And on the other side, yeah, it hasn't finished. It's still running. So I'll leave it there. And yeah, that's, I have maybe the last slide here. I added, I don't know if we have a way to share these slides. Natale?
You can. We have a place where we put all the slides after the session. If you want, you can give me the link and I can add it there. Otherwise, yeah, or we make it public, but we can do it that way. All the links I already shared in the chat. All those
okay.
links, basically. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we also create a blog post on our community website with the content from the Hackfest office hour. So
Yes, that's
Cool.
great.
Thank you. And yeah, that's really all I had. We're very open to any form of participation and collaboration, so the links will be provided. So feel free to get in touch.
Thank you,
Any
Michele.
questions,
That's
let me know.
impressive demo because there are lots of components involved. This is the multi-cloud, GitOps, validate and pattern. There are many pieces. I think it was a powerful demo. Thank you. Give an idea of how you can manage those, complex use case, but at ease with a pattern. So there's a way to make it reproducible, to make it stable. And I think this is the overall idea around validated pattern.
Yeah, indeed.
I don't have additional question. Do you folks? Do you have any question for Michele?
no, I know actually, Michele, they are implementing this patterns overall in the region, or in the EMEA region, which is the one we belong to also, Chris, Mattia, and myself. I wanted to ask you actually, Mattia, if there is already a current adoption or project of these patterns for any of your customers, without mentioning the customers, of course. But are you already working on the
Yeah,
adoption?
let's say this pattern is coming on the customer side with ACM to manage a multiple cluster, because customer want to have the functionality of this platform worldwide. So it's a distributed customer, so they need a way to manage all the cluster in an easy way as well, in secure ways. With as well, they use external operator. They have Vault, but they have other secret provider. That's why external secret operator is nice feature about that. But yes, it's coming on the customer side. I guess the next step will be with hyperscalers, OpenShift, which will bring a more even capability, flexibility on the customer side, because we can manage a different version at the same time.
Great. It looks like a great next topic, Mattia.
Chris.
Chris. Yeah, folks. It was a really great session. Thank you, Chris and Michele, for joining us today. It was a pleasure to hear from you. And thank you, Andrea and Mattia, to coming back for the Hackfest office hour. Always great to hear from you and the news from the Hackfest. Appointments, OpenShift TV Coffee Break come back next Wednesday, 10 a.m. With Jan Lawson talking about serverless and Kafka, how to combine those two patterns together, data streaming and serverless. And other than that, folks, thank you all. You have the recording and the same YouTube link or Twitch link. And see you next time. Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.